Christmas Eve was supposed to be magical. That's what all the holiday movies promised, what every Instagram post suggested, what Maya Johnson had believed until approximately 40 minutes ago when passenger 14C had pressed his call button for the 7th time since takeoff. She walked down the aisle of the Boeing 737, her flight attendant smile fixed firmly in place despite the fact that every muscle in her face wanted to collapse into the exhausted grimace she was actually feeling. It was her third flight of the day, a late addition to her schedule because another attendant had called in sick, and she'd taken it because she needed the holiday pay. Her father's medical bills from his stroke last year were still crushing her savings. And double time on Christmas Eve meant she could make another payment, stay ahead of the interest, keep the collectors from calling her mother. Passenger 14C was Korean, maybe early 30s, wearing an expensive suit that probably cost more than Maya made in 2 months. He had the kind of face that would have been handsome if it wasn't twisted into a perpetual expression of disdain. Dark hair, styled perfectly, sharp features, the bearing of someone who'd never been told no in his entire privileged life. And from the moment he'd boarded the flight from New York to Seoul, he'd been nothing but difficult. His seat was too narrow. The cabin temperature was too warm. The blanket was too thin. The drink he'd ordered wasn't cold enough. Each complaint delivered in perfect English with a tone that suggested Maya was personally responsible for every minor inconvenience in his luxurious business-class existence. She reached row 14 and found him holding up the call button like it had personally offended him. "Yes, sir? How can I help you?" Maya asked, her customer service voice so sweet it could have caused cavities. "This meal is unacceptable," he said, gesturing at the dinner tray in front of him. Maya looked at the tray. The beef entree with roasted vegetables and garlic mashed potatoes looked perfectly fine, exactly like every other business-class meal they'd served that evening. "I'm sorry, sir, what's wrong with it?" "It's beef," he said, as if this was self-evident. "Yes, sir. You ordered the beef option when we came through taking orders." "I don't eat beef," he said flatly. Maya felt her customer service smile strain at the edges. "Sir, when I asked if you'd prefer the beef or the chicken, you specifically said beef." "I've changed my mind," he said. "I'd like chicken now." "I apologize, sir, but we've already served all the chicken meals," Maya said. "We have limited quantities of each option, and they've been distributed based on passenger preferences." "Then get me something else," he said. "Perhaps the first-class menu has other options." "Sir, this is business class. First class has already been served, and their meals are not available to business-class passengers. However, I'd be happy to bring you the vegetarian option if you'd prefer." "I don't want vegetarian," he said with barely concealed irritation. "I want something edible and prepared to actual standards of quality." Maya took a deep breath and reminded herself that dumping his dinner in his lap, however satisfying it might be in the moment, would cost her the job she desperately needed. "Sir, I can offer you the vegetarian pasta, a fruit and cheese plate, or several snack options from our service cart. Those are your choices on this flight." He stared at her like she'd suggested he eat garbage. "This is unacceptable. I'll be filing a complaint with the airline." "That's certainly your right, sir," Maya said. "Would you like any of the alternative options I mentioned?" "No," he said dismissively. "Just take this away." Maya removed his untouched meal tray and walked back to the galley, where her colleague Jessica was preparing the dessert service. "Let me guess," Jessica said. "14C again?" "He's been pressing that call button like it's going to summon a genie," Maya said. "He ordered beef, then decided he didn't eat beef, then refused all the alternatives, and is now going to complain to corporate that we didn't magically produce a meal that met his exact specifications." "Some people just like to make others miserable," Jessica observed, "especially on holidays when they know service workers can't fight back." "Well, he's succeeding," Maya muttered. Over the next 3 hours, passenger 14C found approximately 15 more things to complain about. The reading light was too bright, then too dim. The person in front of him had reclined their seat too far. Could Maya tell them to adjust it? The cabin was too cold now. The movie selection was inadequate. The Wi-Fi wasn't working properly. On and on until Maya was seriously considering whether unemployment was really worse than one more interaction with this man. 4 hours into the 8-hour flight to Seoul, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Folks, this is Captain Richardson. We're going to need to make an unscheduled landing in Billings, Montana. We've got a significant winter storm system moving faster than predicted, and our original route is no longer safe. We'll be landing in approximately 30 minutes to wait out the weather. We apologize for the inconvenience and will update you on our departure time once we have more information." A collective groan went through the cabin. Maya watched passengers pull out phones, probably texting loved ones about the delay, rearranging plans. And then, predictably, the call button from 14C. She walked over with her customer service smile barely clinging to life. "Yes, sir?" "This is unacceptable," he said, and Maya noticed something in his voice had changed. He sounded less annoyed and more panicked. "I have a commitment in Seoul tomorrow morning. I cannot be delayed." "I'm sorry, sir, but weather diversions are for passenger safety. We can't fly through a major storm system." "How long will we be delayed?" he demanded. "The captain will provide updates as soon as he has more information. Could be a few hours, could be longer, depending on when the storm passes." Something flickered across his face that looked almost like relief, quickly masked by irritation. "This is completely unacceptable. I need to file a formal complaint." "You're welcome to do that, sir," Maya said. "Is there anything else I can help you with right now?" "No," he said, but he was staring out the window at the clouds like they held answers to questions Maya couldn't hear. They landed in Billings 20 minutes later, the plane shaking slightly as they descended through turbulent air. Maya could see snow falling heavily outside, the kind of storm that grounded flights for hours or even days. The captain came back on. "Folks, I've got an update and it's not great. The storm is more severe than forecasted and Billings Airport is going to be shutting down in approximately 2 hours. All flights are grounded until at least tomorrow afternoon, possibly longer. The airline is working on arranging hotel accommodations, but with the holidays, availability is extremely limited. We'll be deplaning shortly and airline representatives will meet you at the gate with more information." More groans, louder this time. People were calling loved ones, rebooking connections, some crying because they were going to miss Christmas Eve with family. Maya felt for them even as she dreaded the hours of dealing with frustrated passengers that were ahead. They deplaned into the small Billings airport, which was completely overwhelmed by the influx of diverted flights. The airline representatives looked exhausted and overwhelmed as they tried to help hundreds of displaced passengers. Maya and Jessica stayed with their crew, waiting for instructions from their supervisor. That's when she saw him, passenger 14C, standing apart from the crowd near a window, staring out at the falling snow with an expression that looked almost peaceful. She must have been imagining it because there was nothing peaceful about being stranded in Montana on Christmas Eve. The airline supervisor gathered the flight crew. "Bad news," she said. "Hotels are completely booked. We've got rooms for the pilots, but nothing for flight attendants. Corporate is saying you'll need to sleep in the airport or find your own accommodations." "On Christmas Eve?" Jessica said. "There's nothing available anywhere." "I know. I'm sorry," the supervisor said. "You'll get compensation for the inconvenience, but right now we just don't have options." Maya sighed. She'd been awake since 4 a.m., had worked 3 flights, and now she was going to spend Christmas Eve sleeping on an airport bench. Merry Christmas to her. She found a relatively quiet corner near a closed coffee shop, put her jacket down as a pillow, and prepared for the most uncomfortable night of her life. That's when passenger 14C appeared, standing over her with his expensive luggage. "The airline isn't providing crew accommodations?" he asked. Maya looked up at him, too tired to be polite. "That would be correct. That's unacceptable," he said, and Maya almost laughed at the predictability. "Add it to your list of complaints," she said. "I'm sure corporate will be very concerned." He looked at her for a long moment. "There's a bed and breakfast about 2 miles from here. They had one room available. I booked it. You can have it." Maya blinked, certain she'd misheard. "What?" "The room. You can have it. You've been working all day. You shouldn't sleep on a bench." Why would you do that?" Maya asked, genuinely confused. This was the same man who'd spent 8 hours making her life miserable. "Because despite my behavior today, I'm not actually a monster," he said. "And because you deserve better than this." Before Maya could respond, he walked away, leaving her with a room key and approximately 8,000 questions. She stared at the key in her hand. Part of her wanted to refuse out of pride. But the larger part of her, the part that was exhausted and sore and desperately didn't want to sleep on an airport bench, made the decision. She grabbed her bag, told Jessica she'd found accommodations, and went outside to brave the snow. The bed and breakfast was exactly 2 miles away according to her phone, but in a blizzard it felt like 10. Maya trudged through snow that was already 6 inches deep and still falling, her uniform completely inadequate for Montana winter weather. By the time she reached the charming Victorian house with Christmas lights twinkling in the windows, she was frozen and questioning all her life choices. She checked in with the elderly woman at the desk, Mrs. Chen, who seemed delighted to have a guest despite the weather. "You're in the snowflake suite, dear," Mrs. Chen said. "Top of the stairs, second door on the right. Breakfast is at 8, but given the weather, sleep as long as you need." Maya climbed the stairs, found her room, and opened the door to discover it was absolutely beautiful. 4-poster bed with a thick duvet, fireplace with actual logs ready to light, window seat overlooking snow-covered trees. It was the kind of room people paid serious money for, and passenger 14C had just given it to her. She showered in the attached bathroom, washing away the stress of the day, then put on the complimentary robe and was about to collapse into bed when there was a knock on the door. She opened it to find passenger 14C standing in the hallway, now wearing jeans and a sweater instead of his suit, looking somehow younger and less intimidating. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said, "but Mrs. Chen informed me that this was actually the only room available. I misunderstood when I booked it. I thought there were 2 rooms, but apparently this is it." Maya stared at him. "So what, you want the room back?" "No," he said quickly. I was hoping we could share it. I'll sleep on the floor or the couch. I won't bother you. I can't go back to the airport." There was something in his voice, almost desperation, that made Maya pause. "Why can't you go back to the airport? It's not that far." "Because if I'm at the airport, they might find a flight out," he said. "And I can't get on a flight to Seoul." "You specifically booked a flight to Seoul," Maya pointed out. "I know," he said. "It's complicated." Maya should have said no, should have sent him away, kept the room to herself, maintained professional boundaries. But something about his expression, the vulnerability showing through the arrogant mask he'd worn all day, made her step aside. "Fine. But you're sleeping on the couch, and if you complain about anything at all, I'm kicking you out into the snow." "I won't complain," he promised. "And thank you. Really." He came in carrying his bag, immediately went to the couch and sat down like he was afraid to take up too much space. It was such a contrast to his behavior on the plane that Maya felt completely off balance. "I'm going to ask you one question," Maya said, "and I want an honest answer." "Okay," he said. "Why were you so terrible on the flight? The complaints, the attitude, the way you treated me like I was beneath you? Why?" He was quiet for a long moment, staring at his hands. "Because I was trying to get kicked off the flight." Maya sat down on the edge of the bed. "You were what?" "I was trying to get kicked off," he repeated. "I thought if I was difficult enough, if I caused enough problems, the flight attendants would refuse to serve me and I'd be removed before takeoff. But you just kept being professional. Kept smiling and accommodating every unreasonable request. You didn't take the bait. Why would you want to get kicked off a flight you paid for?" Maya asked. "Because that flight was going to Seoul," he said. "And in Seoul tomorrow morning I'm supposed to marry someone I don't love in a wedding I don't want to a woman I barely know because my family arranged it and I'm the dutiful son who does what he's told. Was the dutiful son, past tense. I got on that plane planning to miss the wedding and I was trying to find a way to blame the airline instead of admitting I chose not to go." The admission hung in the air between them. "You're running away from your own wedding?" Maya said. "On Christmas Eve?" "Yes," he said simply. "And the storm gave me the perfect excuse. Weather delays completely out of my control. I can tell my family I tried to make it, but circumstances prevented it. Except now I'm realizing that's cowardly. I shouldn't need an excuse. I should just say I'm not doing it." "Why don't you want to marry her?" Maya asked. "I don't love her," he said. "She doesn't love me. Our families are both wealthy, both in manufacturing, and they decided years ago that we'd be a good match. They arranged everything. She agreed because it's good for her family's business. I agreed because I don't know, because that's what I was raised to do. Duty over desire, family over self. But the closer it got, the more I realized I couldn't do it. I couldn't spend my life with someone I don't love, pretending to be happy for the sake of business connections." "So you booked a flight to Seoul while planning to sabotage it," Maya said. That's pretty messed up." "I know," he admitted, "and taking it out on you was unforgivable. You were just doing your job and I treated you terribly because I was angry at myself and my family and my entire situation. I'm sorry, truly." Maya studied him. This man who'd made her day miserable and then given her a room and was now sitting on a couch looking more lost than anyone she'd ever seen. "What's your name?" she asked. "Your actual name, not just passenger 14C. "Choi Min-jae," he said, "and you're Maya, according to your name tag." "Maya Johnson," she confirmed. "Flight attendant, currently stranded in Montana with a runaway groom. This is definitely the weirdest Christmas Eve of my life." "Mine too," Min-jae said, "though it's better than the alternative." "Which is?" "Waking up on my wedding day," he said. "In Seoul, surrounded by hundreds of guests and photographers and my parents who would never forgive me if I backed out at the last minute. At least here I have distance, time, space to figure out what I'm actually going to do." "What are you going to do?" Maya asked. Min-jae looked at her with an expression that was heartbreakingly uncertain. "I have absolutely no idea." They sat in awkward silence for a moment. Then Maya said, "I'm starving. I haven't eaten since this morning and I turned down airplane food out of spite." "You?" "I turned down airplane food because I was being an asshole," Min-jae said. "But yes, I'm hungry too." "Mrs. Chen mentioned something about a kitchen guests can use," Maya said. "Want to see if we can raid it for something edible?" They went downstairs and found the kitchen, which was warm and cozy with copper pots hanging from the ceiling and a refrigerator that Mrs. Chen had kindly stocked with basics. They made sandwiches and instant ramen, the kind of simple food that tasted amazing when you were exhausted and displaced. They ate at the kitchen table while snow fell outside the window, and Christmas music played softly from a radio in the corner. "Tell me about her," Maya said. "The woman you're supposed to marry?" "Kim Sun-hee," Min-jae said. "She's intelligent, accomplished, comes from a good family. She runs her family's company's marketing division. We've known each other since we were children, but not well. Just occasional meetings at business functions, family dinners, that sort of thing." "Does she want to marry you?" Maya asked. "I think she's indifferent," Min-jae said. "It's good for her family's business connections, and she's dutiful like I was. She'll do what's expected, but I don't think she's excited about it. I don't think she loves me any more than I love her." "That's sad," Maya said. "Spending your life with someone just because it makes business sense." "That's how it works in families like ours," Min-jae said. "Marriage is about alliance, not romance. My parents' marriage was arranged too. They've been together 35 years, and I don't think they've ever been in love. They're partners in business, and that's enough for them." "Is it enough for you?" Maya asked. "No," Min-jae said, "which is why I'm here instead of there." They finished eating and cleaned up the kitchen, moving around each other in the small space with surprising ease. Back in the room, Min-jae insisted Maya take the bed while he arranged blankets on the couch. "I'm sorry it's not more comfortable," Maya said. "I'm sorry I ruined your Christmas Eve," Min-jae said. "You didn't ruin it," Maya said. "You made it weird, but not ruined." She got into the luxurious bed and was about to turn off the light when Min-jae said, "Maya, thank you for not kicking me out. You would have been justified." "Yeah, well," Maya said, "it's Christmas Eve. Even assholes deserve shelter from the storm." She heard him laugh softly in the darkness. "Merry Christmas, Maya." "Merry Christmas, Min-jae." She fell asleep to the sound of wind howling outside and woke up 6 hours later to find weak winter sunlight streaming through the windows. The storm had passed. Min-jae was still asleep on the couch, curled up in a way that looked distinctly uncomfortable, his face relaxed in sleep in a way it hadn't been when he was awake. Maya's phone showed 7 missed calls from her mother and a dozen texts from co-workers checking if she was okay. She texted her mother that she was fine, stranded but safe, and would call later. Then she saw the news notification. All flights from Billings grounded until at least 6 p.m. due to runway conditions. She was going to be here all day. She should have been frustrated, but instead she felt almost relieved. Maya got up quietly, trying not to wake Min-jae, and went downstairs. Mrs. Chen was in the dining room setting up breakfast, a spread of pastries and fruit and coffee that smelled like heaven. "Good morning, dear," Mrs. Chen said. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in months," Maya admitted. "That bed is incredible." "And your friend?" Mrs. Chen asked with a knowing smile. "He's not my friend," Maya said quickly. He's a passenger from my flight. We're both stranded." "Of course, dear," Mrs. Chen said in a tone that suggested she didn't believe that at all. "Well, there's plenty of breakfast. Help yourself." Maya filled a plate and was eating when Min-jae appeared, looking rumpled and tired, but somehow more real than he had in his expensive suit. "Good morning," he said. "Morning," Maya replied. "Flights are grounded until tonight at the earliest." She expected him to look upset. Instead, he looked relieved. "That's unfortunate," he said, but his tone suggested it was anything but. They ate breakfast together while Mrs. Chen bustled around humming Christmas carols. Other guests appeared, a family with 2 young kids who were excited about the snow, an elderly couple who'd been visiting relatives. Everyone was in good spirits despite the travel disruptions, the kind of forced togetherness that holidays created. After breakfast, Min-jae asked, Do you want to go for a walk? The snow has stopped and I've been cooped up on planes and airports for too long. In what shoes? Maya asked, gesturing at her flight attendant heels. Mrs. Chen mentioned she keeps extra boots and coats for guests, Min-jae said. Apparently, weather strandings happen fairly often here. They borrowed winter gear and ventured out into a world transformed by snow. Billings looked like a Christmas card. Everything white and pristine, the air so cold it hurt to breathe. They walked through the neighborhood, past houses decorated with lights and inflatable Santas, and Maya found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in months. Tell me about you, Min-jae said as they walked. Why are you working on Christmas Eve? Because I need the money, Maya said honestly. My dad had a stroke last year. Medical bills wiped out my parents' savings and they're still coming. I picked up every extra shift I could to help them. That's why you were working 3 flights in one day, Min-jae said. I heard you tell the other attendant in the galley. Eavesdropping? Maya asked. Unintentionally, Min-jae said. I'm sorry about your father. Is he recovering? Slowly, Maya said. He can walk again, but his speech is still affected. It's hard watching him struggle with things that used to be easy. He was a college professor, words were his life, and now he can't always find them when he needs them. That must be incredibly difficult, Min-jae said, for him and for your family. It is, Maya admitted, but we're managing. Mom is strong, I'm helping financially, and Dad is doing the therapy. We'll get through it. You work multiple shifts during the holidays to help your parents, Min-jae said. I run away from my wedding. You're a much better child than I am. You're not running away, Maya said. You're choosing yourself over obligation. That's different. Is it? Min-jae asked. Yes, Maya said firmly. Running away is cowardly. Making a choice about your own life is brave, even if your family doesn't like it. They walked in silence for a while, their breath making clouds in the cold air. Then Min-jae said, Every time I'm kind to you, you push me away. Maya stopped walking. What? Last night when I offered you the room, you looked at me like I was trying to trick you. This morning when I suggested a walk, you were suspicious. Just now when I commented on your dedication to your parents, you deflected. Every time I try to, I don't know, connect, you pull back. Why? Maya looked at him standing in the snow. This man who'd been terrible to her on the plane and then inexplicably kind, who was running from a wedding but analyzing her defensive mechanisms. Because kind people make me want things I can't have, she said quietly. Min-jae's expression softened. What do you want that you can't have? I don't know, Maya said. Time off without worrying about money. A relationship with someone who isn't intimidated by my work schedule. The ability to help my parents without destroying my own financial future. Normal things that feel impossible right now. Those don't sound impossible, Min-jae said, and they just sound hard. Same thing when you're living them, Maya said. They kept walking, eventually ending up at a small park where kids were building snowmen. Min-jae watched them with an expression that looked almost wistful. I don't remember the last time I did something just for fun, he said. No business purpose, no networking opportunity, just fun. So let's do something fun, Maya said impulsively. Like what? Build a snowman, she said. Right now, like a kid. Min-jae looked at her like she'd suggested they rob a bank. I don't know how to build a snowman. It's not complicated, Maya said. You roll snow into balls, stack them, add decorations. Come on, when's the next time you'll be randomly stranded in Montana with nothing else to do? She started forming a snowball before he could argue, rolling it through the snow until it grew bigger. Min-jae watched for a moment, then started helping. his expensive gloves getting soaked and his designer jeans covered in snow. They built a lumpy, imperfect snowman with stick arms and rocks for eyes, and when they finished, Minjai was laughing, really laughing in a way that transformed his entire face. "That's terrible," he said, looking at their creation. "It's perfect," Maya corrected. "It's ours." They took a selfie with the snowman, Maya's idea, both of them grinning with red cheeks and snow in their hair. It was the kind of photo you'd look back on and remember as one of those perfect, unexpected moments. They walked back to the bed and breakfast as the sun began to set, painting the snow orange and pink. Mrs. Chen had made hot chocolate and Christmas cookies, and they sat in the common room with the other stranded guests sharing stories. The family with kids, the Johnsons, were from Seattle trying to get to Des Moines to see grandparents. The elderly couple, the Patels, were returning from visiting their daughter in New York. Everyone was supposed to be somewhere else, but instead they were here, making the best of it. That evening, Mrs. Chen made a Christmas Eve dinner for all her stranded guests. Turkey and stuffing and all the traditional dishes served family style around a big table. It was the kind of meal Maya's family used to have before her father's stroke, before medical bills and extra shifts and stress changed everything. She felt tears burning in her eyes and blinked them away quickly, but Minjai noticed. He always to notice. After dinner, he found her on the porch where she'd gone to get air. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," Maya said. "Just missing home. My mom does Christmas Eve dinner and I've never missed it before. She's there with my dad and I'm here and I feel guilty for not being there even though I couldn't control the weather." "Call her," Minjai said simply. "Right now, call her." Maya pulled out her phone and video called her mother. Her mom's face appeared tired but smiling. "Baby, I was hoping you'd call. How are you? Are you safe?" "I'm safe, Mom," Maya said. "Stranded in Montana, but in a nice place with good people." "Let me see where you are," her mom said. Maya flipped the camera to show the snow-covered porch, the Christmas lights, the view. "It's beautiful, baby," her mom said. "Don't feel bad about missing dinner. Your dad and I understand. We're proud of you for working so hard." "How is Dad?" Maya asked. "He's good," her mom said. "Want to say hi?" Her father appeared on screen, his smile lopsided but genuine. "Hey, baby girl," he said, the words coming slowly but clear. Maya felt tears spilling over. "Hi, Daddy. Merry Christmas." "Merry Christmas," he said. "Don't cry. You're where you're supposed to be." They talked for a few more minutes, her parents telling her about their quiet dinner, her updating them on the storm and the bed and breakfast. When she hung up, she was crying openly. Minjai was still standing there, giving her space but present if she needed him. "Your dad seems like a good man," he said. "He's the best," Maya said. "And I'm missing Christmas with him because I was working a flight where some asshole passenger made my life miserable." "I'm sorry," Minjai said, "for all of it. For being that asshole. For the reason you had to take the shift. For everything." "It's not your fault," Maya said. "Well, the asshole part is your fault, but the rest isn't." "I wish I could fix it," Minjai said. "Fix what?" "Your father's medical bills. The reason you have to work yourself to exhaustion. All of it." Maya looked at him. "Why would you want to fix it? You don't even know me." "I'm getting to know you," Minjai said. "And what I'm learning is that you're someone who deserves better than what you're getting. You should be able to spend Christmas with your family. You should be able to help your parents without destroying yourself. You shouldn't have to smile through terrible passengers treating you like you're nothing." "That's life," Maya said. "For people like me, anyway." "It shouldn't be," Minjai said. They stood in the cold, looking at each other, and Maya felt something shift between them. Something that felt dangerous and impossible and entirely too tempting. "We should go inside," she said, before we freeze. That night in their shared room, they talked until late. Min-jae told her about growing up in Seoul, about the pressure to be perfect, about watching his parents live separate lives under the same roof. Maya told him about her childhood in Chicago, about her dad teaching her to value education, about her mom working 2 jobs so Maya could go to college. They were from completely different worlds, but somehow, in this snowbound Montana bed and breakfast, those worlds didn't seem so far apart. "What are you going to do?" Maya asked. "About the wedding, your family, all of it?" "I'm going to call my parents tomorrow," Min-jae said. "Tell them I'm not coming back, that I can't marry Sun-hee. They'll be furious, they'll probably disown me, but I can't live the life they planned anymore." "Where will you go?" Maya asked. "I don't know," Min-jae admitted. "I have my own money. Money I earned separate from the family business. Enough to start over. Maybe I'll stay in the US, figure out who I am without the weight of expectations." "That's brave," Maya said. "Or stupid," Min-jae said. "I'm not sure which yet." "Can be both," Maya observed. She fell asleep that night to the sound of Min-jae breathing softly on the couch, feeling strangely peaceful despite being stranded, despite missing Christmas with her parents, despite everything. She woke on Christmas morning to find Min-jae sitting by the window watching snow fall again. Another storm, lighter this time, but enough to keep flights grounded. "Merry Christmas," he said when he saw she was awake. "Merry Christmas," Maya replied. "Flights?" "Not until tomorrow at the earliest," Min-jae said. "We're stuck here another day." "You don't sound upset about that," Maya observed. "I'm not," Min-jae admitted. "Is that terrible, that I'm actually glad to be stranded?" "Considering you're avoiding your wedding probably makes sense," Maya said. They went down to Christmas breakfast and found Mrs. Chen had gone all out. Fresh pastries, fruit, eggs, bacon, everything. The other guests were there too, everyone in holiday pajamas and good moods. It felt like family, this random collection of stranded travelers. After breakfast, the Johnson kids wanted to go sledding, and somehow Maya and Min-jae ended up going with them, borrowing sleds from Mrs. Chen's impressive collection of winter equipment. They spent hours on a nearby hill, Maya laughing as she flew down slopes, Min-jae looking terrified and exhilarated at the same time. When they trudged back to the bed and breakfast, cold and exhausted and covered in snow, Maya realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd had this much fun. Not stressed about work fun, just joy. That afternoon, while everyone else napped, Maya found Min-jae in the library, a cozy room lined with books and warmed by a fireplace. "Reading?" she asked. "Trying to," he said, "mostly just thinking." "About?" Maya asked. "About how in 2 days I've had more genuine moments than I've had in the past 2 years, Min-jae said. "About how being with you feels easier than anything in my regular life. About how I don't want to go back to Seoul and face everything that's waiting there." "But you have to," Maya said. "Eventually." "I know," Min-jae said, "but not yet. Right now I just want to be here in this moment with you." "Min-jae," Maya said carefully, "we barely know each other. You're running from a wedding and I'm working a job I hate to pay my father's medical bills. This isn't, we can't. This is just a moment out of time. When we leave here, we go back to our real lives." "Why?" Min-jae asked. "Why does it have to be just a moment?" "Because you live in Seoul and I live in New York," Maya said. "Because you're wealthy and I'm drowning in debt. Because you're dealing with family pressure to marry someone else and I can't be part of that drama, because this is Christmas magic, not reality." "What if I want it to be reality?" Min-jae asked. "What if I don't go back to Seoul? What if I stay in the US, near New York, near you?" "You'd give up your entire life for someone you met 2 days ago on a plane where you treated her terribly?" Maya asked. "Not for you," Min-jae said. "For me." Because being here, being with you has shown me what my life could be if I chose myself instead of obligation. But yes, also because of you. Because when I'm with you, I feel like I can breathe. Like I'm enough just as I am. Maya felt her heart doing things it had no business doing. This is crazy, she said. Completely crazy, Minjae agreed. Is that a no? I don't know what it is, Maya admitted. I like you. More than I should after 2 days, but Minjae, I can't be your reason to blow up your life. That's too much pressure. You need to make that choice for yourself. You're right, Minjae said, so let me rephrase. I'm choosing to not marry Sunhee, to step away from my family's expectations, to build a life that feels authentic instead of obligatory. I'm making those choices for me. But I'd really like to make them with you in my life, even if that's just as friends. Even if it's just, I don't know, someone I text occasionally who understands what this moment meant. But if you're open to more than that, I'd like to try. No pressure, no expectations, just possibility. Maya looked at him, this man who'd been rude and then kind, who was running from obligation toward authenticity, who was offering her not salvation but partnership. I'm scared, she admitted. So am I, Minjae said. Of what? Maya asked. Of wanting you too much, he said. Of this being real. What if it's not real? Maya asked. What if this is just holiday magic and when we get back to our regular lives it falls apart? Then we'll have had this, Minjae said. These days in Montana, this moment. Even if nothing else comes from it, that's something. They sat by the fire, not touching but somehow together, while snow fell outside and the clock ticked toward the moment when they'd have to leave this bubble and face reality. That evening, Mrs. Chen organized a Christmas talent show for the guests. The Johnson kids performed a slightly off-key version of Jingle Bells. Mr. Patel recited poetry. Mrs. Chen herself sang a beautiful Korean carol that made Minjae's eyes shine with something that looked like homesickness. Then somehow Maya was volunteered to sing. She chose a Nat King Cole song, the Christmas song, and as she sang about chestnuts roasting and Jack Frost nipping, she watched Minjae watch her and saw something in his expression that made her forget the words for a moment before recovering. When she finished, everyone applauded, but she only cared about Minjae's reaction. He was smiling, but his eyes were serious, intense. Later in their room, he said, "That was beautiful. Your voice." "Thanks," Maya said. "I used to sing in church choir before everything got so busy." "You should sing more," Minjae said. "You should do things that make you happy instead of just surviving." Says the man running from his entire life, Maya teased. Exactly, Minjae said. I'm an expert in what not to do. Learn from my mistakes. They both laughed, and then somehow the laughter turned into them sitting close together on the bed, and then Minjae was reaching out to tuck a strand of Maya's hair behind her ear, and then they were kissing. It was soft and tentative and felt like a question neither of them knew how to answer. When they pulled apart, Maya said, "That was probably a mistake." "Probably," Minjae agreed. "Want to make it again?" She kissed him instead of answering, and this time it wasn't tentative. This time it felt like a decision, like choosing possibility over fear. They spent Christmas night curled together in the bed, talking and kissing and learning each other in ways that felt both innocent and profound. The next morning the weather cleared. Flights were resuming. Their bubble was ending. Maya checked her phone to find messages from the airline. Her flight crew was being reassigned to a direct New York flight leaving at 2 p.m. She'd be home by evening. Minjae received messages too from his family, increasingly frantic. Where was he? Why hadn't he come to the wedding? Sunhee's family was humiliated. His father was threatening everything. I need to call them, Minjae said. Tell them I'm not coming back. Are you sure? Maya asked. You're absolutely certain this is what you want? I'm certain I don't want the life they planned, Minjai said. Everything else I'll figure out. He made the call. Maya left the room to give him privacy, but she could hear his voice through the door. Speaking rapid Korean, the tone escalating. When he emerged 20 minutes later, he looked pale but determined. How bad? Maya asked. My father disowned me, Minjai said. Effective immediately, I'm cut off from the family money, family business, family everything. My mother cried. Sunhee's family is threatening lawsuits for breach of contract. Apparently there were financial agreements attached to the wedding. It's a disaster. But, Maya prompted. But I feel free, Minjai said. For the first time in my life, I feel free. They packed their things and said goodbye to Mrs. Chen, who hugged them both and whispered to Maya, Hold on to this one, dear. He's a keeper. At the airport, they faced the reality of going separate directions. Maya's flight to New York left in 2 hours. Minjai had booked a flight to Los Angeles, planning to stay with a cousin who'd also defied the family by becoming an artist. So this is it, Maya said. Back to real life. This was real life, Minjai said. The rest is just life. Are we really going to try this? Maya asked. Long distance, complicated situation, all of it? I want to, Minjai said. If you do. I do, Maya said, but Minjai, I can't be your rebound from obligation. I can't be the reason you blew up your life. You need to figure out who you are without your family first. You're right, Minjai said. So let me figure it out. Give me 6 months. 6 months to sort out the legal issues with my family, to establish myself independently, to prove I can build a life on my own terms. And then, if you're still interested, if there's still possibility, we try this for real. 6 months, Maya repeated. That's a long time. It'll go fast, Minjai said. And I'll text you, call you. I'll prove that what I feel isn't just Christmas magic. Okay, Maya said, 6 months. They kissed goodbye at her gate, both of them crying a little, both of them laughing at themselves for crying. Merry Christmas, Maya Johnson, Minjai said. Merry Christmas, Choi Minjai, Maya replied. She got on her plane and watched Montana disappear beneath clouds, feeling like she was leaving something important behind, but also carrying something precious forward. 6 months. She could wait 6 months. Back in New York, Maya threw herself into work and taking care of her parents. But she also started making changes. She talked to her supervisor about better scheduling. She started seeing a therapist to deal with stress and burnout. She began to prioritize herself in small ways, remembering Minjai saying she should do things that made her happy. Minjai texted daily, photos from LA where he was staying with his cousin, updates on the legal battle with his family, which was messy and expensive but moving forward, stories about Korean language classes he was teaching to make money, about discovering he actually liked teaching, about considering going back to school to get a degree in education instead of business. They video called every week. Long conversations where they talked about everything and nothing, building something real out of the foundation they'd laid in Montana. 3 months in, Maya's father had a setback. Another small stroke, more medical bills, more stress. She didn't tell Minjai at first, didn't want him to think she was asking for help. But he noticed she was off during their call, pressed until she told him. 2 days later, an anonymous donation paid off her parents' entire medical debt. $500,000 just gone. Maya called Minjai immediately. Did you pay my parents' medical bills? I don't know what you're talking about, Minjai said unconvincingly. Minjai! It was anonymous, he said. You can't prove anything. You said you were cut off from family money, Maya said. I am, Minjai said. But I have my own money from investments I made before the split, money that's mine, and I chose to use some of it to help someone I care about. That's too much, Maya said. It's not charity, Minjai insisted. It's me choosing to use money I have to help people I care about be less burdened. Let me have this, Maya. Please. She cried on video chat, and he watched with an expression of such tenderness that she knew this was real. What they felt was real. 6 months after Montana, Minjai flew to New York. Maya met him at the airport, both of them nervous and excited. They'd maintained their connection across distance and time, but this was the test. Could they work in person in real life without Christmas magic? They had dinner at an Ethiopian restaurant Maya loved, walked through Central Park, talked until 3 a.m. in her apartment. And it worked. It all worked. They spent a week together before Minjai had to fly back to LA to finish settling things there. But they made plans. He'd moved to New York in 2 months. He'd gotten accepted to Columbia for a master's in education. She'd been promoted at work to a training position with better hours and better pay. They were building lives that included each other but didn't depend on each other. 1 year after Montana, they went back. They found Mrs. Chen's bed and breakfast, booked the same room, spent Christmas there together. This time not as strangers forced together by weather, but as partners choosing each other. Do you ever regret it? Maya asked on Christmas Eve as they sat by the fireplace. Running from your wedding, losing your family, all of it? Never, Minjai said. That choice led me here. To you. To a life I actually want to live. How could I regret that? Even though your family won't talk to you, Maya pressed. Even though you gave up everything? I didn't give up everything, Minjai said. I gave up obligation and expectation and pretending to be someone I wasn't. What I gained is infinitely more valuable. What did you gain? Maya asked. You, Minjai said simply. A life that feels authentic, the freedom to make choices, the possibility of actual happiness instead of just successful misery. That's not giving up everything, that's gaining everything that matters. They kissed by the fireplace while snow fell outside, two people who'd found each other in the most unlikely circumstances and built something real from it. 2 years after Montana, they got married. Small ceremony, Maya's parents and Minjai's cousin and Mrs. Chen, who'd become like family. Sunhee sent a gift with a note that said, "Congratulations on finding what I hope to find someday." Minjai's mother sent nothing, but they heard through his cousin that she'd seen the wedding photos and cried. In her vows, Maya said, "You were the rudest passenger I've ever had. You made my worst day even worse. And then you gave me a room and a chance and showed me that sometimes the people who push us away the most are the ones most desperate for connection. You chose yourself, and in doing so, you chose us. I choose us too. Every day." In his vows, Minjai said, "Every time I'm kind to you, you push me away. That's what I said in Montana, and it was true then. But it's not true anymore. Now when I'm kind to you, you receive it. When I love you, you love me back. When I choose you, you choose me. You taught me that love isn't about obligation or expectation. It's about showing up honestly, about choosing each other even when it's hard, about building something real instead of something that just looks good from the outside. I was running from a wedding when I met you. I'm running toward this one, toward you, toward us forever." They kissed as husband and wife, and everyone cried, including Mrs. Chen, who'd made a special trip from Montana for the ceremony. 5 years after Montana, they were back at the bed and breakfast for Christmas with their daughter Sophie, age 2, who was obsessed with snow. Minjai taught education at a community college and loved it. Maya had started her own consulting business, helping airlines improve their treatment of flight crews. They'd built a life that worked, that felt right, that honored both their values. Do you ever think about that first flight? Maya asked as they watched Sophie play in the snow. Every day, Minjai said. I think about how close I came to missing it. If I'd succeeded in getting kicked off, if the storm hadn't happened, if you'd refused to share the room, my entire life would be different. Worse? Maya asked. Immeasurably worse, Minjai confirmed. I'd be in Seoul, probably divorced by now from a woman I never loved, working in a family business I hate, completely miserable. Instead, I'm here, with you and Sophie and a life I actually want. That storm was the best thing that ever happened to me. Even though you were running away from your problems, Maya teased. I was running towards something, Minjai corrected. I just didn't know it yet. I was running toward you. Sophie threw a snowball that hit Minjai in the chest and they both laughed, chasing their daughter through the snow while Mrs. Chen watched from the window with a satisfied smile. Some people found love in unexpected ways through dating apps or introductions from friends or meeting at work. Maya and Minjai found it on a diverted flight during a Christmas Eve storm, with rudeness and irritation and accidental room sharing leading to understanding and connection and eventually love. It wasn't a story they could have predicted, but it was theirs, built from impossible circumstances and maintained through choice and effort, and the willingness to push past defensiveness toward genuine connection. Every time I'm kind to you, you push me away, Minjai had said. But Maya had learned to stop pushing, and Minjai had learned to be kind not out of obligation but out of genuine care. Together they'd built something neither could have built alone,